Hello, Ocho Libre here, and today is a tour of the San Francisco Museum of Modern Art, otherwise known as SFMOMA, I guess, as opposed to the New York MoMA. I don't know if you say SFMOMA or SFMOMA. In any case, very cool museum. I went to visit my mom who lives in Berkeley, and we went and took a tour and saw a ton of art. As you know, I'm a huge fan of Gerhard Richter. If you haven't already seen, I did another video on his cage paintings in the Gagosian Gallery in Beverly Hills, which you can look at on my YouTube channel, where I presumptuously asked, are they good? And the cage paintings, just a quick review here, are 6 paintings named after the American composer John Cage. Kind of a cool story. They're all big, square, and gray. And compared to other paintings by Richter, and you're going to see some in the San Francisco Museum, I'm not a huge fan of these, particularly this one here, which is the cage number 1. If I had to put cage number 4, which is this one, or cage number 2 in my studio, I would do it, you know, even though I don't have the $30 million to buy them. However, in San Francisco, we have a good collection of Richter's work, including some stuff other than his colors. I'm going to show you a couple quick other artworks that aren't his big, colorful abstracts, which are what I really like. But this is a work on glass. It is called Spiegelblautrot. Pardon my German, because I know nothing about German, but it means mirror blood red. And it's glass, it's painted on the back. It's reflective glass. You can see me here taking the picture. You can see Mom in the background. And this one's 88 inches tall by 69 inches. I previously saw in St. Louis these 4 panels, which are, it's gray on the back of glass, quite big. You can see in the reflection on the other side of the gallery Richter's paintings, and he's really into the idea of blurring images. He paints a lot of photorealistic paintings and then he blurs them over. There's been a lot of talk about, you know, he was born in East Germany, in East Berlin, and then moved to West Berlin to study art when he was quite young. So there was obviously a huge influence of World War II, communism, East Germany, West Germany, all that kind of stuff. And, you know, maybe that just means gray and dull, or the, you know, destruction of the war. I don't know. I'm off on a tangent here, but here's another painting in San Francisco. This one's 9 feet by 9 feet square. It is called Stadtblatt Madrid, which means Cityscape Madrid, done in 1968. If you look at Richter's website, he has a whole ton of paintings called Townscapes, which are like these black and white paintings. And they look like aerial photographs, which I think are super cool. I've always liked aerial photographs. I like cityscapes. I like city planning. You can see the streets of Madrid, a city I've never been to but would love to see. I believe it was shattered in World War II. And an interesting thing about this painting is when you stand back and look at it like this, it comes off as an aerial painting. But keep your eye on the center of this picture as we go close and look at it, and you can see it's not a photographic type image at all. It's very loosely painted, almost bizarrely abstracted or almost melted. And it's super cool, I think, if you look at the painting standing back and then come in close to see how he did this. Another painting they have, this one's only 28 inches by 40 inches, and it's one of his photorealistic type of paintings that's slightly blurred. It's called Lesende, which means reader, done in 1994. This is a painting of his, at that time, wife named Sabine. And again, we see his blurring of the image, but look at the image itself. I mean, I can't imagine painting something like this. I just read a huge biography on Leonardo da Vinci, and it talks, among other things, about how Da Vinci spent tons of time layering thin layers of paint over years and years to create this kind of shadowing and stuff like that. I don't think Richter spent years on this, but he's able to create these photorealistic, absolutely amazing paintings. Here's another one. This one's called Verwalters. Means administrative building. So this was done in 1964. It's 38 inches tall by 59 wide, and it's a bleak subject of an administrative building. Kind of depressing, really, and makes me think of, you know, maybe that's what East Berlin was like, post-World War II rebuilding of Germany. You know, not very absent of any kind of decoration in this architecture, very straightforward, gray. But that leads us to our next painting, which is one of Richter's really large, 10 feet tall by 8 feet wide. This one's called Janus, 1983. I couldn't find out a ton of information. If you look on Richter's site, he doesn't really describe this, and I Googled it. I couldn't find much, and unfortunately the museum doesn't give you a whole ton of information either. But from knowing a bit about Richter's abstracts, and he was painting abstracts heavily in the 60s and 70s, but earlier ones were more grayscale paintings, and he started doing these big canvases, big colorful canvases, more in the 80s. And in the earlier ones you can see a lot of brushwork. So imagine this is a huge painting, huge. He's using a huge brush to create brush strokes. You can see this green stroke coming down the middle, but he's also drawing sort of big sweeps of color. You can see a big sweep of yellow, a big sweep of green. So he's probably done a base painting with this orange, red, and blue underneath it, which is coming up through the top parts. I really like it. I love the color. Check. I love the color scheme. The composition is, I think, is super cool. The way he's split it up, sort of a Y shape. The next one here, done in 84. Similarly, you can also still see brush strokes. This one is about 80 inches tall by 63 wide, so that's almost 7 feet tall by 5 feet. Very similar kind of painting. You can see large loose brush strokes. Again, he's done a base painting and he's come over it with several other layers in wide sweeps of dragging color across, as well as using big brush strokes. And then we move to 1987, where you start to see where I can't see brush strokes in this painting, but you see many more layers of paint dragged over it, and you can still see sort of a very, you know, circular movement and curvilinear movement here compared to some of his other paintings. But a ton of color. Another super cool painting, 8 feet by 8 feet, a big square canvas. The next one here, called Obstructs Build, which means abstract picture. A ton of his paintings are called Abstracts Build. This one done in 1992. So again, 1987, 1982. Here again, we don't see any brush strokes, but we do see a lot of scraping out of painting. So he's done a couple layers, then you can see these vertical marks coming through here where he's literally scraped the paint off. So he's putting gallons and gallons of color on here, paint on here, and then he's coming and taking gallons off. And I've seen him in videos where he literally is scraping it off and chucking it on the floor, dipping in, putting big new volumes of paint on. You can see he's done it horizontally here. He's got a different mark, and vertically. When I make paintings, I hate wasting any paint, but you know, Richter's got millions of dollars. He doesn't care. Here's a picture of Mom in front of Obstructs build, just so you can see the scale of it. Again, 102 inches, that's 9 feet tall, I think, by 6.5 feet wide. There's that horizontal mark. Boom, right there. Big, colorful. This one here, the last one I'm going to show you, is called Walled. Walled number 4, which means forest. I guess he did 4 of these or more of them. 134 inches by 102, so that is over 11 feet tall by almost 9 feet wide. Again, no brush strokes, but a lot of blurring, more of a monochromatic panel, this one. That's a big canvas. Again, not as bright and multicolored as some of the other paintings, but I like this one. For some reason, this one appeals to me a lot. He's using the dark blues and orange, the complementary colors here, and you can see some lighter color, but the right side of it is really kind of heavily blurred out, and then it's more figurative in here. Maybe this is the forest right here, the deep dark forest, and here you're coming out to a field. Of course, I'm just winging it on that, but anyway, I hope you enjoyed the Richter at the San Francisco Museum of Modern Art. I've got a bunch of other pictures from some of the other artwork, which was really cool. I may do another video. If you want to see the cage paintings on Richter that I did, check out my YouTube on that. Hope you enjoyed this. We'll see you on the next one. Thank you very much.